4 years ago, 1 year after the Viper City, we see Ryan aimlessly walking on the roads. As we see time goes by, we see he's just barely scraping by out there. We then see him sleeping in the back of an old truck as he spends the night there. As we zoom out, we see someone is watching him from far. The next day, he walks out. As we see, it's a new day. He's walking the roads as we then see a few deadheads down the road. He then takes out his sword and starts taking them out. But as he kills them, we then see something catches his eye down the road. He sees a woman down the road. She looks to be hurt. As we then see him slowly approaching her, as we see, it's Rivers. Rivers says, Please, can you help me? Ryan says, Sure, here, take that. He gives her some water, and about halfway he says, That's enough. You from around here? Rivers says, I'm not. I've been running for a while. After my boyfriend died, I've just been trying to find somewhere safe. Ryan says, Well, I can promise you this. It ain't safe. Now take care. Find some shade. He starts walking away, and then she says, I'm sorry. A few guys with guns come out of the woods. Ryan looks pissed as he turns around and sees Rivers pulls a gun out too, and she says, I didn't want to do it this way, but people gotta eat. There's not much left of anything anymore, and I gotta feed my family. Ryan drops his bag of supplies and says, Boy, I guess it ain't about people anymore after all. They take his stuff, and one of the guys says, We can't have you following us. Ryan says, No, please don't, as they knock Ryan out. A few hours later, we see him laying in the rain as we see a blurry view of someone standing over him in the rain. As we then hear someone's voice saying, That's Ryan. We're helping him. End of discussion. As Ryan passes out. Back in Washington, D.C., River says, I'm not proud of it, but me and my dad were hunters for our people, and we'd go out to look for food. And after a certain amount of time, whatever food was left, someone already had it. So my dad said, if you want it, you have to take it. Tom says, it's a brutal world, Rivers. Rivers says, What? That's it? I thought you'd say that I was a monster and that it was fucked up what I did. Tom says, Look, I'm not going to say what you did was right, but to survive this long, this many years, and still be breathing, you have to do unspeakable things sometimes. River says, I never liked it. My dad forced me to do all this, and we needed supplies badly for our people. Tom says, So how'd it go wrong? River says, We crossed the wrong person. As we cut to that person, as we then see Ryan waking up. 4 years ago, Ryan wakes up in a clean bed. He looks around in this room to see neon lights all around. He then sees someone sitting in a chair next to him. As we hear, Hey, you're awake. We see it's Ashley, and she looks happy to see him. And he says, Where am I? Ashley says, It's okay. Me and the man in charge of this place found you out there passed out in the rain. We brought you in. Apparently the leader of this place knows you. Ryan asks, How did you survive? I thought you died last year at the camp. Ashley says, I can say the same for you. No offense, you've looked better. Ryan smiles and says, Did you see her? Amelia? Is she alive? Ashley says, No. I'm sorry, Ryan. Me and James escaped together. We barely got out alive. He was badly hurt when I found him. He said he was fighting off some of those assassins in the woods, and he was pushed into a big river. And after a while of him swimming down, I found him. Ryan then notices that James didn't tell her about their fight, and he says, I found Austin. Ashley looks worried, and he says, I was taken in by a group of people called the Vipers. They lived in a city. I was there for a while until the place was attacked by a group called the Outlaws. They killed everyone there. I got burnt up defending one of the families. Then when it was all over, I went through the city and I found one of the leaders' prized possessions. They had heads of their victims that they have previously killed hanging up on a shelf. Austin was one of them. Ashley looks sad and starts breaking down, and she says, I'm sorry you went through that. I only wish I could have been there to save him. Ryan says, So how'd you get here? Ashley says, Me and James found this place a few weeks after the attack. These people in these neon masks showed up. They let us right in. Ryan says, So, the leader knows who I am? Ashley says, Apparently so. I'm just glad that you're alive. Ryan says, Yeah. He looks at himself in the mirror and says, Yeah, me too. We see two men with neon masks coming into the room, and the other guy who says, How's he doing? Ashley says, He's awake. As Ryan gets up and sees the leader as he walks in and says, Hey buddy, how you doing, you old fucker? Ryan smiles as they hug, and Ashley smiles and says, Glad we found you. Ryan looks at his friend and says, Oh my god, how the hell are you still alive? The guy says, We got a lot of catching up to do, my friend. Later on, Ryan is walking through this place as he sees people working. He sees a cafeteria. He sees fancy rooms, and he can see that these people are well built up. We see a few people are saying, Hey, Ryan! Hey, that's Ryan! That's him! Good to see you, Ryan! He hears people cheering his name in the background as he nods and keeps moving. He then sees old photos of their lost ones on the wall, as it then shows Ryan that not everything is perfect here, and they have lost people. We see Ryan walks out of the bunker to the cave. As he is then walking out to the water, he then walks through the sand as the guy walks up to him and says, So what do you think? Ryan says, Xavier, how the hell do you always manage to survive and get through these hard times so well? I mean, look at me, man. The outside world damn near killed me, and you? Hey, you've never looked better, buddy. Xavier laughs and says, I got lucky, I guess. Back when the world went mad, me and the people from the church were trying to keep it together, help all the innocents that we could. But after a while, it got so bad that we had to leave. A lot of the people of the church didn't want to leave without you being present, or Amelia for that matter. But you and Amelia already fled, so we had nothing left. We all tried to escape until the army stopped us while we were trying to get out. They brought us here. They said they'd come later. Ryan says, They didn't they? Xavier says, No. But there was supplies. Food, weapons, medicine, everything we needed to keep everyone alive. And with all the people at the church and all the newcomers, we're over 300 now. The infected definitely killed a decent amount of us at one point or another, but a lot of us survived. Ryan says, I'm surprised they all still recognize me. Xavier says, How could they not? I mean, you were literally looked as a hero before everything. You helped so many families that were struggling to pay their rent. You helped starving families and people in time of need. And the amount of lives that you changed in the time that you had at the church, everyone knew what kind of man you were. Hell, you were on the news for good behavior and kindness of others. Ryan says, Yeah, things have changed since then, Xavier. I've had to do things I ain't proud of. Xavier says, Haven't we all? Xavier says, Me and my apostles aren't perfect either. We've had to do things. But what keeps us in check is prayer. We still keep it up, even after all this time. Ryan says, Even after all this, you still keep it up? Xavier says, We do. We're probably some of the only ones that still pray in this world, but it keeps my people sane. And in the state of the world and the way it is right now, we call ourselves the Apostles. Ryan says, The Apostles, huh? Why is that? Xavier says, Because we take chances on people. We save the lives that we can. We have faith in people. And we're doing the Lord's work. Sure, does it sound naive and kind of out there? Obviously. But it's what keeps my people sane without them turning into whatever this world makes people these days. We're trying to be different. And honestly, it worked. Ryan says, "Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm just glad to be a part of it." Xavier says, "I just wish Amelia was here with you. She would have loved this. I heard about what happened to the camp with the Viper attack. I heard what they did to you. Ashley told me. You don't even look alive, man, I can't lie." Ryan says, "I feel dead, I do. But alive, if that makes sense. Ever since I lost my wife, it's like that guy, Ryan, is just not there anymore. And I'm trying to find my place in this life again." Xavier says, "Well, welcome to the Apostle family, buddy. This can be your restart." We see it's the next day. Ryan is in the cafeteria as he bumps into James, and James says, "Watch where you're going, you stupid fuck." Ryan says, "Can we talk?" James says, "What the fuck would I want to talk to you about?" Ryan sits him down and says, "Look, I'm sorry about what happened. But to be fair, you attacked me." James says, "Yeah, well, I found it awfully funny that my camp was attacked literally right after you showed your face." Ryan says, "It wasn't me. You realize I didn't find my wife, huh? I assume her dead by this point." James says, "Well, that makes both of us." Ryan says, "Your wife is dead too?" James says, "It's a long story. But look, I don't care about you, alright? You do you. But if you try something funny again, I will kill you, and this time I ain't missing." Ryan says, "Agreed. So, we both agree? Truce?" They shake hands and Ryan says, "How the hell did that happen?" We see Ashley outside the cave in a little man-made arena that they built nearby the water. As we then see her fighting one of the apostles as they are training, Ryan walks up and watches them fight as they are pretty evenly matched, till we then see Ashley trip him to the ground and the guy falls as she pins him down for over 3 seconds and says, "And he's out!" The crowd cheers and Ashley says, "Good job, Felix. We'll try again later." Ryan walks up to her and says, "Not bad. You do this all the time." Ashley says, "Yeah. Back when I was a Marine, I used to train people all the time. Now I'm training these people. I make sure that every apostle knows how to fight. I think you're about to be my next student, Ryan." Ryan says, "I'm down for that. Be cool to know how you put someone on their ass a lot faster." And Ashley looks positive and says, "This is the start of hopefully what is a long life here." As we then see a montage of time going by, as we see Ryan behind a fence, ready to go out in the arena. The fence opens as we see him go up against a few other apostles. He starts off good, but then they overpower him, and Ashley says, "It's alright, you're doing good, Ryan. Come on, let's run it again." We hear Xavier narrating and says, "We need more good people to keep this community thriving. When you go out into the world, you wear these masks, for your own protection out there and for others. It keeps our identity hidden. No one can trace anything back to us, and no one will know who we are. We don't speak to strangers until we're in our hospices. Voices and faces are the biggest dangers in this world. And to assure our survival, we don't use them out there." We see Ryan doing push-ups and jumping jacks as we then see him training to be an apostle. Xavier says, "We have different masks for different people. The white mask is mine. The white represents leadership and full control. The blue ones are the go-to soldiers that we need to defend this place. The green are the people who teach you what you need to know out there. They're their own leaders in their own way. And every other color is a standard apostle." As Ryan is being handed one of the standard apostle masks, as we see him now in the arena, as he fights Ashley, and this time, he's able to put her down for over 3 seconds, as the crowd now cheers for him. "2 years later. 2 years before Lincoln's death. We see Ryan is an apostle, walking the streets out on a hunt. As he then sees a few deadheads walking up to him, as he pulls out a small blade and kills them. We then see him aimlessly walking as he discovers the covered bridge. As he then is walking through, we see him walk through the old abandoned streets of suburban estates. We then see him go to the old military base. We then see him discovering the old burnt out ranch. And then he walks up to the burned out Washington, D.C. as we see him look at it with pure anger. As he hears the voice in his head saying, Lincoln, West, you find him and you make that monster pay. Ryan looks sad and says, I'm trying. As he then walks off, we then see him walking along the river as he then sees something that catches his eye, and Ryan then looks in the water to see a dead Lindsay that's now nothing but bones. Ryan looks at this and says, Well, how did you get here, sweetheart? We then see him continue his journey. As he hears a truck driving down the road, he hides in the bushes for cover. We see Lincoln and Tom drive in a truck. As the truck then stops, and Lincoln says, Damn it, I thought you said you filled this thing up before we left. Tom says, Calm your tits there, buddy. I'll refuel. Ryan is watching them as Lincoln says, You know, I've been thinking a lot about the Vipers lately. Tom says, Oh yeah? Why's that? Lincoln says, It's been 3 years, man. And I mean, we've had no problems. We've finally been able to live, you know? I don't know, I guess I'm just not believing that we've managed to be at peace for that long now, especially after what we did. Tom says, Buddy, it's because we did the hard thing to get here. That's why we're still standing. All right, that'll do it. Lincoln says, Good, let's get the fuck out of here. As they then drive away, Ryan comes out of the woods and stands on the road as he's watching them drive away from far, and Ryan says, I'll see you soon, Lincoln West. A few days later, we see Ryan and Xavier out there with the Apostles fighting off a horde of the dead. As we then see them fighting them off, one of them starts running towards Xavier, and Ryan sees this and runs over to help him as he stabs it in the head and says, What the fuck was that? Another apostle says, Sir, are you good? Xavier looks out of breath and starts sitting down and says, Yeah, I'm good. Ryan then says, What's going on with you? Then he sees the blood showing through his shirt, and Xavier lifts it up as we then reveal he's been bit. Ryan looks speechless and emotional, and Xavier says, I guess my time has come. I can't believe this is how it ends. I thought there'd be more time. They all have no idea what to do, and Ryan then takes the lead and says, Come on, we gotta get him back home, and we gotta get him there now. As Ryan and the other apostles carry him over their shoulder as they try to get him back home before the infection takes his life. We see Ashley sitting by the water, and we see her and Apostle Cheryl are talking, and Ashley says, It's gonna be getting cold again soon. I'm just glad we don't have a shithole to stay in. We'll be ready for winter this season. Apostle Cheryl says, I'd say we're about ready for anything, honestly. We then see Ryan and Xavier and the apostles coming back in a hurry, and Ashley and Cheryl run up to this, and Ashley says, Oh my God, what the hell happened? Ryan says, I don't know, he got bit. We need you to help us get him inside. We see them make it underground as they put him in his room, and they put him down on his bed, and Ashley says, No. How the hell did this happen? Ryan says, We were on patrol like usual. All of a sudden the dead started coming up, and one of them was running towards Xavier. We tried to save him, but it was too late. Ashley looks scared as she then says, What the hell are we gonna do? We can't amputate. What the fuck are we gonna do? He's supposed to lead these people. How the fuck are we supposed to push on? Everyone is freaking out, and then Xavier says. Everyone shut up! I got bit. Alright, I can't change it. I don't want to die. But despite what I've been telling you people for years, sometimes the world just sucks. And I got that rude awakening. When I die, when I'm gone, I want no other but Ryan to take my spot. Ryan says, No, I can't. Xavier says, everyone clear out. I want to talk to Ryan alone. Ashley and the others then walk out. Ryan sits down and Xavier says, this is it. The end of my story. I can't change it. But I can decide what I want to do with this place, and that's you. Ryan looks emotional and says, no, I can't lead. I can't be the leader. That's just not what I am. Xavier says, there's only 3 candidates. There's Ashley, but she ain't a leader, she's a follower. I believe she would make a great leader, but she doesn't want it. She's told me before she doesn't want to lead. There's James, but he would take it, but he would fuck it all up. He's out of his mind and way too goddamn trigger happy. But you, I've gone back with you for over 10 years. You're my best goddamn friend, man. Ryan says, you're mine too. You're like my fucking brother. He breaks down and Xavier says, and that's why you have to lead them, Ryan. You said once before that you don't know why you survived the fire. That you should have been dead by now. That you didn't know why you survived all this time. I hate to break it to you, man, this is it. Ryan says, I'm no leader. I'm just Ryan. Guy who let his wife die. Who ran like a coward. That's all I am. Xavier says, that was Ryan. This version of you is resilient, strong, powerful. My people respect you because they know who you are. You saved most of them in the real world when they were struggling for money. These people respect who you are. We've had 10 years of friendship, and I know I shouldn't be asking you this, but I'm asking you anyway. If you don't take over, this place is gonna fucking fall, man. Ryan says, I just don't want to be that guy anymore. This Ryan always lets people die. And always runs away from his own problems. Xavier says, you know who didn't run away from his own problems? Ryan says, who? Xavier says, the bishops. The bishops were successors to the apostles. That's what I need you to be. I need you to be their bishop. Not Ryan, but bishop. The one who leads them. The one who cares about them, which I fucking know you do. I'm asking you as your best friend. I'm asking you as my brother. And as my death wish, you lead these suckers through it. Give them the courage to push on no matter what. They will follow you. You already have their respect. But do they have Bishop? Ryan is crying and says, thank you for everything you did, brother. Xavier says, who were you thanking? I just got bit like a dumbass by running deadheads. Ryan says, because you made it matter. And I'll make sure that these people matter for as long as I can. Xavier pulls out a gun and says, I'm ready. Ryan says, no. Xavier says, I don't want to feel this pain anymore, bro. I just don't have it in me to wait till death. And for this to slowly happen, please. Tell your people. Tell your people. I didn't die a coward. Ryan says, I promise. I promise. As we see Ashley and the others waiting outside the door, as Ryan walks out and closes it, as they then stand there in silence for about 10 seconds until we hear the gunshot go off and Xavier ends his own life. The next day, we see Bishop going up to everyone as they all gather around, and Bishop says, "I'm sorry for you all. I know we're living in a time of uncertainty. One of the last things that Xavier said to me was, 'Lead them.' I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what the hell I'm doing here. But we're gonna figure it out together. It's gonna take some getting used to. I'm gonna learn as I go along, and I hope you're alright with that. But there's one thing I can promise every goddamn one of you, that you will not die. We will survive, and we will be one united front. We will make it, because I know we have it in us. You are my apostles. And as your leader, I am your bishop. Things will never be the same, but it'll be something." The group claps for him. As he smiles, we then see a tear go down his eye, as we see he misses his best friend.